Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel. It is now time to look at every single deck that made day 2 at the World Championships. Yes, we do have all the day 2 decks here at the World Championships available to us on Limitless, and of course leave a link to Limitless down below. But I am definitely excited to see what else made day 2 here, what other creative decks maybe got into day 2, or maybe what techs and stuff people put into their decks to counter the meta. Of course, the World Championship meta was a lot different than it was for NEIC. And with cards like Regidrago being extremely dominant, it is definitely a very interesting tournament. And some very interesting results, of course, looking at the top 8 here. Some very I was interesting decks making it in top 8. Like, it's all interesting all around, and I'm definitely excited to look at all the decks here in day 2 and see what things were played and that made it into day 2 of the World Championships. Of course, if you are new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 16,000 subscribers. And of course, if you want to enjoy the video, leave a like and all that good stuff. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Of course, starting things off, we got Fernando's first place Iron Thorns deck. So once again, big congrats to Fernando for winning Worlds with Quad Thorns. A deck, I mean, nobody really expected this deck to win. Now, I expected the deck to see play, and actually, it ended up being a pretty popular deck at the tournament. I'm pretty sure they had it on the graphic in the tournament. So the deck definitely did have a presence within the tournament, but like I said, it's very surprising that it actually won the whole thing. Now, Quad Thorns definitely is a very strong anti-meta deck, and I mean, going into this tournament, a lot of decks really were not able to keep up with Thorns having the ability lock. Ability lock happens to be pretty good. I mean, Thorns did win NEIC too, technically, in Lost Box, so ability lock is very good right now. Now, the one thing with Fernando's list is not playing Legacy Energy, opting for Prime Catcher, and also Pokemon Catcher in the deck. So really coin flip RNG heavy deck, playing Hammer and Catcher. But having all that Gust does allow you to be more aggressive with your attacks. So that at the end of the day, Thorns is trying to whittle your opponent down, trying to burn resources, trying to force your opponent to find resources in time. And having Catcher means you can just bring up Pokemon on the bench and just start hitting them before they even start attacking you. And at that point, you can just win the game because you've put on so much pressure. You've knocked out all their threats, and that's how it works. Of course, we do have to talk about the second place Turbo Moon deck. And I did a video on this deck over on my main channel, Dave. So you want to see some gameplay with this deck in action, definitely check out the main channel. But yeah, I mean, Turbo Moon is a really good meta call for Worlds. It thinks pretty good into Regidrago. I'm not too sure how its like Lugia and Guardy matchup would go, but I'm sure it's pretty good into like most of the fields because it's Roaring Moon at the end of the day. You're just going fast, taking turn 1 donks. You're capitalizing on people choosing to go first, which is a little bit more common in this format due to Regidrago, right? So a lot more people would be inclined to go first, and that can give you a big advantage being a deck that likes going second and putting all that big pressure with Frenzy Gouging, Calamity Storm turn 1, taking turn 1 donks. Once again, another deck here playing for Pokemon Catcher. Pokemon Catcher was the story of the World Championships finals because there was 2 decks in the finals, of course, playing for Pokemon Catcher. So Pokemon Catcher having a field day. Of course, we got Jesse Parker here with the Miraidon deck here. Jesse, being Miraidon's strongest soldier, did decide to play it 2 Worlds and went undefeated into the top cut. So definitely had a really insane run. Miraidon, once again, ended up being a pretty good play for this tournament, being really good against Gardevoir, and honestly not being too bad into Regidrago. Once again, just like Roaring Moon, just being able to capitalize on going second, being able to take those big turn 1 knockouts out of nowhere with Miraidon, makes this deck really strong and aggressive into the meta. And it's no surprise to see Jesse have such a good run, because Jesse, of course, has been playing Miraidon for a long time, got second place at Pittsburgh, the first big tournament of the season, so it's kind of fitting that he finishes off the season with a strong top 4 finish at the World Championships. Then, of course, we did have Regidrago doing good in the tournament. Regidrago was the most popular deck in the tournament. A lot of the big players were on Regidrago. It was by far and away the best deck in the format. And it definitely had a lot of dominating performances. Drago just is such a strong and aggressive deck, just being able to go fast with the ability of Legacy Star, being able to copy many different dragon attacks, makes it very easy for you to kind of have different angles, like having Dragapult, having Goodra, having Kyurem pressure, like all these different plays really do equal for some big pressure plays you can put on your opponent. And the fact that it has Kyurem now is just ridiculous. Like, you can win games with Kyurem if you can hold Legacy Star. Of course, we did have another Drago. Again, half of the top 8 was Regidrago. No surprise there. Regidrago, like I said, it was easily the biggest deck for this tournament. And just completely dominated. Now, this build here actually isn't playing Goodra. Bradner did not play Goodra in his list, which is interesting. We do have a Raging Bolt in top 8 here. A deck that definitely had the ability to make it to top 8. Just because there is so much Drago in the room, I'm not surprised to see at least one Raging Bolt in the top 8. Another build playing Pokemon Catchers in it. So like I said, Pokemon Catchers having quite a performance this weekend at the World Championships. So a lot of Catcher decks in top 8 at the World Championships. And Raging Bolt's really good. If you're expecting a lot of Drago, definitely pick up Raging Bolt because it does do really good into Regidrago. We got Ian Robs here playing the Gudra, playing the Temple of Sinnoh. And the big thing with the Reggie deck was, like, what stadium were they playing? We got Michael Davidson's list here. Once again, playing Temple Sinnoh. All the Reggie decks were on the Temple, which is definitely interesting to see. And then finally, technically in top 8, we had Rahul. Rahul did make top 8 on the asymmetrical cut. He had the same amount of points as Michael Davidson did into top 8. So he may have gotten 9th place, but he technically was also in the top 8. He was playing Lugia V-Star here. Now, Rahul's build is very interesting, actually opting to play a 1-1 Cinccino, but plays a little bit more like teched out list. He's got the Weird Ear still in the deck. He's got the hands, but he also plays a Raikou V and a Lightning Energy. So you can actually technically use either Raikou as an attacker or Iron Hands as an attacker, which makes for a very interesting Lugia deck here. So yeah, really, really interesting 60. The 1-1 Cinccino is also very interesting. You know, a 1-1 line is kind of, you know, just a very slim line of Cinccino, but it did Rahul very well and got him all the way to 9th place. So Rahul had a really good tournament performance with this deck, and it's a very interesting Lugia 60. Like I said, the inclusion of the Raikou and the Lightning is fascinating for sure. But the Lightning does make sense because you can get around like Enhanced Hammer and stuff. Then we got Tord. Now, Tord did not make top 8 this time around. Unfortunately, Tord was not able to try to reclaim and try to get World Championships this time, or World Champion this time around, but he did still get 10th place with a very interesting list here using Charizard. Now, Tord is also one of Charizard's strongest soldiers, and Tord decided to play Charizard to the World Championships. Now, Tord's Charizard list is very interesting here because of how he built it. So, looking at the list here, he's got a 2-1-2 line of Charizard, so very slim line of Zard, not playing the usual 4-1-3 line of Zard, opting for a 2-1-2 line, also playing a Pidgeotto in the deck with the Pidgeot engine, but also the big surprising was the Rabsca. Now, Rabsca was a very good call because it's actually very good into Regidrago. It's got that ability where you can prevent all damage and effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to your bench Pokemon. So the idea of Rabsca, you put into play Regidrago's Phantom Dive and Kyurem cannot do anything. Mainly Phantom Dive is what you're trying to block. Now, the thing with Tord's build is he plays TM Evolution. So what he wants to probably do is turn 1 going second, he can go TM Evo into Rabsca immediately, because usually if you go second against Drago, they're most likely going to get turned to Dragapult. So what Tord's trying to do here, you can go TM Evo and immediately put the Rabsca into play so that you can just block Dragapult turn 2 pressure, which is really interesting. So definitely a very fascinating 60. Also leading into Radiant Charizard as an attacker, because it does play a Thornton and a Double Turbo. And a Double Turbo does work with Pidgeot, but mainly you can do it with Charizard. So against something like Regidrago, you can actually lean in to attacking with the Radiant Charizard, especially when you have the Defiance Band in the deck. You can use Defiance Band for Charizard to do 280. A lot of the, not even a lot. It's like some of the Dragolists weren't even playing Gudra this weekend, but you can also just use Charizard as a 1-prize attacker, which offsets the prize trade against Regidrago while you go like Counter Catcher or Boss Knockout stuff on the bench, which I guess is like kind of the main idea here of the deck. Also, Thornton does allow you to take off a Pokemon that's a 2-prizer, like a Fezandipiti or your Lumineon or something. So very cool 60 there by Tord. We do have Jishen here, who also managed to get top 16 with the deck, also playing the same 60 as Isaiah Bradner. Let's see here. We got our highest placing Guardian in the tournament, still getting top 16. Now, I'm surprised to not see Gardevoir in top 8. I truly thought there was going to be one in top 8, but unfortunately was not able to make it to top 8. But we do have this Guardian list here, playing at the Klefki, playing the Fluttermane. It's got the Drifloon, the Cresselia, only playing one Turo, playing a Night Stretcher. Does have that Devo, just pretty straightforward Guardian list here. But yeah, I'm very surprised to see Guardian not make it into top 8. That was one thing I was like kind of surprised to see. Another Regidrago list playing Temple, playing Gudra, also using Cleffa in the deck. We have another Lugia in top 16 here. This one, once again, just very simple Lugia list. We got the 2-2 Cinccino line, the Iron Hands, playing the Weird Ear in the deck. That was like the big inclusion. I think a lot of Lugia lists were playing this weekend was the addition of that Weird Ear V, which is very fascinating. We have another Miraidon top 16. Yeah, Miraidon was a pretty good call this tournament. Now, this one is a bit different than Jesse's build. It is playing a couple copies of Judge in the deck, also playing Raichu and Iron Thorns EX in the deck. So more of like a Lightning toolbox deck. Does have that research in there too, so it does have a little bit more draw than Jesse had. playing a couple more draw supporters. But yeah, Miraidon ended up being a pretty good call for this weekend, just because it is Miraidon at the end of the day, and it can just be a very powerful deck within the format when you're playing against all these decks that can get donked really easily and sometimes can't deal with the pressure of Iron Hands. Finally got Lucas Zing here, who did make it to top 16 with Seapow, another one of Seapow's strongest soldiers, and we do see Lucas's build does have some interesting stuff in it. So you do see the normal like Shenpao, you got the Iron Hands, Bibarel, stuff like that. The big thing was, I think, was the 1/1 Palkia. Now I'm pretty sure the Palkia was in the deck as a way to deal with Regidrago, because Regidrago can Kyurem your Frigibaxes, right, and prevent you from getting Baxcalibur into play. But if you have Palkia in play, you can use Star Portal as a way to either put energy onto a Shenpao over the course of like 2 turns of attach, Star Portal, which would be 5 energy, which you can one-shot the Drago that Kyuremed you, or you can also use Palkia as a way to just attack the Drago for wasting all that energy and Kyureming you. So I think that's like the main logic behind playing the Palkia, is it's kind of a counter to Kyurem, because Kyurem does wreck Shenpao, because Shenpao does not play Manaphy, so having the Palkia can offset not having the Manaphy in the deck. And it ends up being like a decent attacker, too, in the early game. Can put on a little bit of pressure. So interesting stuff. Another Lugia here in top 32. Playing the Weirdeer in the deck. Like I said, Weirdeer ended up being pretty popular this weekend. There was another Quad Thorns in top 32. This one also is playing the Prime Catcher in the deck, but I don't see any Pokemon Catchers in this build. So Fernando, I think, was the only Iron Thorns here that did as good in the tournament playing the Pokemon Catchers. But it does have the 4 hammers. No Legacy Energy, though. We'll have to see if there's a Quad Thorns that had Legacy Energy in it. We do have Nick Moffat here playing Regidrago, making it to top 32. Also, does have the Temple Sinnoh. Plays Iron Bundle and Iron Leaves in the deck, so it does have a little bit of extra text in the deck. The bundle is definitely an interesting inclusion, and the leaves, I do like the leaves, because being able to use leaves early on can give you like a nice early game attacker, and better into Charizard in a way. We got another Zard here, making it top 32. We do see it's the Dusknoir Zard deck, but does have that one copy of Hero's Cape. Something that I was expecting to maybe see Zard play was Hero's Cape, because Hero's Cape is somewhat of a way to deal with Regidrago, because you can actually put it onto your Charizard, make it harder to KO for Ogerpon, but also you can give your Pokemon a little bit more HP. They can kind of play around stuff like the Phantom Dive and the Kyurem a little bit, so I'm not surprised to see Hero's Cape, see Planesward, but you are sacrificing that unfair stamp. I got another Lugia here, doing it in the tournament. No Weirdeer in this build, but yeah, Lugia doing Lugia things. We got yet another Charizard here. This one does not play the Hero's Cape. Also does play the Prime Catcher. Has Roxanne and Thornton in the deck. Plays the 3/1/2 Charizard line. And does, of course, have the Dusknoir in the deck. So a couple of Dusknoir Zards did make it top 32. Dusknoir may not have done as well as everyone expected it to do after everyone kind of hyped it up, including myself. But, it still had like a top 32 placement. So it still didn't do like awful in the tournament. Another couple Dragos here. We got one Drago playing the Temple of Sinnoh also. And then we got another Drago here, Andrew Hedrick's Drago list, same 60 as Michael Davidson. We got yet another Lugia here in top 32. Ooh, if you know, you know. That's all I'm going to say. We got another Regidrago here, obviously doing pretty good. This one also playing the Iron Bundle in the deck. No leaves, so the bundle's interesting. Also does play the Temple of Sinnoh and stuff. So yeah, cool stuff. We got our first Pidgeot control deck. Now, Pidgeot control kind of, and even Snorlax control to a degree, kind of fell off in this tournament. But Alessandro Cremascoli, of course, one of Control's strongest soldiers, did play the deck to a top 32 finish at the World Championships. Now, looking at the list here, you got the normal suspects. You got the Luxray, the double Ogerpon package, playing the Sandshrew, the Mimikyu, the Ursaluna. I think the big thing in the deck is the addition of the Genesect. The new Genesect is definitely an interesting inclusion. Of course, you put a tool card on it, and your opponent can't play any Ace-Specs from their hands. You can, of course, block Prime Catcher, Unfair Stamp. Well, I mean, Unfair Stamp is probably not as big, but you're blocking, like, Prime Catcher and stuff, which is kind of the big idea here, I think, with the Genesect. The Genesect is definitely an interesting inclusion. I wonder if that would help the matchup into Drago. Do have the double Bravery Charm and the 2 Mists, so you can kind of give yourself a little bit of protection against Regidrago's Phantom Dive attack early on in the game. If you can put a Bravery Charm or a Mist on one of your Pidgeys, then the Drago won't be able to Dragapult the Pidgey on the bench, and you'd force him to have like a Gust or something, which is, I guess, kind of the way to go with the list there. We got another Zard here, Pedro Produci, once again playing Charizard to a pretty good finish. Just another one of Charizard's strongest soldiers. The interesting thing with his list is actually playing Entei and Fluttermane in the deck. So the Fluttermane, I think, is pretty good into like Thorns, obviously, and just being able to have it in the active can sometimes slow the opponent down. Even against Drago, it can be good. If they literally start with the Regidrago V, then that one can't use its V-Star power. If Fluttermane's in the active, you can Charizard your own Fluttermane, and also has the Entei in at the deck also. as Entei can be a nice early game attacker, I guess. And once again, could be okay into Regidrago, which I guess is kind of the reason for playing that in the deck. We got a couple of Quad Thorns here back to back. This one also does have the Pokemon catchers, but this one does play the Legacy Energy instead of the Prime catcher as the ace back. And then we got another Thorns here in top 32, playing Xerosic in the deck and also Legacy Energy, but we don't see any Pokemon catchers in this build here. Another Raging Bolt here in top 32. Like I said, just Raging Bolt did decent this weekend. There's a lot of Regidrago in the tournament, so just kind of feasted on it. We got another Guardy here. Only 2 Guardy in top 32, it looks like. Very interesting stuff. We got the Guardy playing the Devo. It's got the Unfair Stamp. Not playing the Klefki in the deck, though, which is interesting also. And then we got another Quad Thorns here outside the top 32, playing the Prime Catcher, no Legacy, and no Pokemon catchers in that build. Another Regidrago here with the Tomb and the Leaf. So the Tomb's definitely an interesting inclusion. It can be good into Snorlax, good into Charizard to stop Rotom. Like any deck that uses Rotom. And even good into Lugia, which is, debatably one of Drago's harder matchups. So being able to, counter Lugia a little bit harder is pretty nice. I mean, if you have Tomb and Temple, it's probably a really good tech into that matchup. Another Zard here, playing the Thorns, got the Prime Catcher, got the 1/1 Dusknoir line in the deck too. Obviously, Dusknoir is kind of being really good in the deck. And yeah, the Thornton technology, I think, is going to be the big thing going forward, is playing the Thornton with the Zard, having the DT in the deck and all that stuff. We got Zach here playing the Regidrago. Zach might have been the only one playing the Haxorus in the deck. We'll have to see on that one if there's anyone else playing Haxorus in their Regidrago list this weekend. Zach's list is interesting. Also opting to play Radiant Gardevoir in the deck over the Radiant Charizard. And the idea of Radiant Gardevoir is it helps you a little bit more in the mirror and also can be good against Lugia. Any deck, obviously, using V Pokemon can't do as much damage when the Gardevoir is down. So that's kind of the idea behind playing that. A couple more Lugia here. We got Brandon Bond playing Lugia. Once again, one of Lugia's strongest soldiers. Does have the Fez in the deck. Plays the Weird Ear. Plays Tutu Cinccino. Also does have that Rosian's backup in there. And then we got another Lugia here. This one has a Flutter Mane in the deck, which would help a lot against Quad Thorn. So it makes sense to have the Flutter Mane in the list. And we got a Goldengo in day 2. A couple Goldengos did make day 2 at this tournament, which is really exciting. So at least we did have some cool things in day 2, like the Goldengo deck here. This Goldengo Palkia with the Hyper Roma. I really like the idea of Goldengo with Palkia, and also Goldengo with Pheasantipity is really good. Pheasantipity is very, very good in Goldengo, because not only do you get coin bonus, but then you can also cap it off with a Flip the Script, which is a really cool way to kind of keep the ball rolling, which is really cool to see. So nice to see Goldengo in the tournament. Also, this Goldengo list plays 2 copies of Pokemon Catcher. So Pokemon Catcher really just having a field day in this tournament. Kind of crazy stuff. Another Drago here playing the Iron Leaves. Don't look, there's a Goodra in this build. Just Dragapult, Tina, and Kyurem. And then we got another Raging Bolt Ogerpon doing pretty good in the tournament. Like I said, doing really good due to all of the Regidrago that it probably hit. Then we got Diego here, Casaraga, former world champion, playing the Ancient Box deck. Now, Ancient Box did win in the Juniors division, so it actually had a pretty good performance this weekend, winning in the Juniors division of the World Championships. But Ancient Box definitely was maybe a little underrated for this tournament. There was really less Charizard going around. Ancient Box ended up being better than we expected, and even that matchup at Drago not being too bad definitely helps a little bit. Though I think Drago does have lines with Kyurem and Dragapult, I do think Ancient Box still can beat that deck. So yeah, really cool stuff. We'll see if there's any more Ancient Boxes in this tournament. There was at least one Snorlax in day 2 here, making it to top 64 here. Ryan Antonucci playing in the Snorlax deck. Interesting build playing the Secret Box within the deck here. Playing Giacomo, 3 Temple. It's got the 3 accompanying Flute. Might have been the same 60s like what Azul's group played, because I know they played Snorlax too. Then we got another Drago. Once again, playing the Radiant Charizard and the Temple. A lot of Temple Dragos. I don't know if there's going to be any Jamming Tower Dragos. We'll have to see, though. We got another Zard here in day 2 with the Dusknoir. So there was actually quite a few Zard in day 2, but just didn't have as good of a performance, just due to the fact, I guess, that Drago's just so popular. But Zard still did, decent overall. There was one Zard, Tord almost got top 8, right? So it's Zard still did decent overall in the tournament. This one also playing the Entei V within the deck. I wonder if that does make a difference in any matchup. I'm not too sure on that one. Another Miraidon here. Interesting Miraidon build. Playing an Iron Valiant in the deck. That's spicy. I don't really see that very often, but that does make sense. I guess you can do extra damage technically with its ability, but you can also put on a little bit more pressure with the Iron Valiant, especially if you set up a knockout and then you can finish off with Valiant. And yeah, it's a cool idea. And also you can play Future Booster Capsule, which lets you do more stuff with Iron Hands, I guess, which is kind of cool. We got another Drago here in the tournament. We got, this Vance Kelly. Vance Kelly playing Regidrago. Yeah. Former world champion, was able to make top 64. Not a bad finish for Vance. And then we got, of course, William Azevedo here with the Charizard list. Also, pretty similar 60, it looks like, to what Pedro played. Does have the Flutter Mane and the Entei within the deck alongside the Dusknoir too. We got another Raging Bolt here in the top 64. This one's playing Unfair Stamp as the ace pack. That's very fascinating. I guess it's a cool concept. You know, you wouldn't expect it. And then also Stamp, you know, it can win games. Stamp, cheese is real. Believe in the Stamp. Speaking of the cheese, we got another Gholdengo in day 2. Like I said, a couple of Gholdengos making it into day 2 here. This one does have a Klefki in the deck, which is fascinating. Pretty similar to what we saw the other build having with the double Pokemon catcher in the deck. But I guess that was the same 60, actually. Or close, right? No, that's not the same 60. But yeah, it was close. Obviously, I think it was the same testing group playing the Gholdengo deck, just having the Klefki in the deck, which can slow down Drago and Raging Bull, which, you know, not difficult matches, but, you know, can be hard if you don't set up in time. Got another Guardy here, not playing the Klefki in the deck, just play the Unfair Stamp. We'll see if any other Guardy list played any other ace specs in it than just Unfair Stamp in day 2. Another Raging Bolt here in day 2. We got our first look at a Lost Zone deck. So Lost Zone actually did do a lot worse than I fully expected. Now, and if you saw my predictions video, I said that maybe a Lost Box would make top 8. I even put it in the thumbnail, and there was no Lost Box in top 8. But honestly, like, I expected Lost Box to do a little bit better this tournament. Honestly, looking at the meta, like, there were a lot of decks doing really good that weren't really good at beating Lost Box, like Miraidon, Raging Bolt, even the Turbo Roaring Moon deck we saw, and to a degree, even Quad Thorn sometimes isn't as good into Lost Box. So it's interesting to see Lost Box not do as well this weekend. There was one, you know, at least one in day 2. I mean, there's a couple probably in day 2 here. We did have the Sablezard here being the highest performing Lost Box deck, which is very interesting to see. And then we just got a sea of Dragos to look at. Another Drago playing the Gardevoir. Another Drago here with the Charizard, also playing Temple Sinnoh. Is there any Dragos with Jamming Tower, I wonder? We got another Drago playing the Tomb in the deck. We got my boy Neil here. Shout out to Neil in the Shift Gear podcast playing Drago with the Tomb in the Clef. That actually might have been the one we just looked at. Unless I'm trolling. No, okay, yeah, it was the one we just looked at. All right. There's too many Dragos. We got the Sableye here actually playing Red Drago to a decent finish at the World Championships. Also playing the Spiritomb within the deck. And then we got another Red Drago here also into the tournament. This one has a 1-1 Tina line, which is interesting. But you can also use Tina for Shred. Even if you're not attacking with the Giratina V itself, you can use the Shred attack, which can help into Mimikyu, obviously. Another Raging Bolt here in day 2, piloted by Chris Franco, playing the double Judge. Judge is interesting because you can go like turn 1 knockout and then Judge him. Especially if you go first with the deck, you can go like attach, and then the second turn you can, you know, do the Judge and stuff without needing Jasada because you went first already and got energy in play. We got another Guardy here playing the Klefki Flutter main package, playing the Mimikyu in the deck. And then we got another Regidrago here. Same 60 it looks like as Hedrick and Michael Davidson. A couple more Lugias here back to back. Lugia, once again, with the Flutter Mane. I think Flutter Mane was a good call this weekend if Thorns was going to be popular, having the 2 Flutter Manes in the deck here. This one also is playing the Earthen Vessel build, so like the Alex Szymanski build here. A couple more Regidragos here. This one has a Choice Belt in it. That's an interesting idea. Choice Belt definitely makes sense in Drago because you can do cool stuff even with Radiant Charizard. And obviously really good in the mirror if you can Phantom Dive with a Choice Belt on. Also using Thorn in the deck here. And then we got another Drago playing the Penny in the deck and a Serena and a Palpad. So interesting techs in this build. Another Zard here to look at. This one is the Poison Zard deck. So it's a deck that, you know, some people were expecting to see a little bit of play this weekend over the Dusknoir build. So at least there was one Binding Mochi Charizard deck in day 2. If you don't know what the deck does, you use Petron's ability to poison the Charizard, and you can put Binding Mochi on it and make Charizard do plus 40 damage out of nowhere, which is a really strong concept, right? Because your Charizard can hit really, really hard earlier on in the game, which is harder to play around. We did have a Banette Gardevoir in day 2. I did put this on my meta predictions video that a Banette Gardevoir would do well in this tournament. There was one in day 2 at least. This build does have Crushing Hammer in it. Once again, Hammer and Catcher, pretty popular cards this weekend overall. And then, of course, it is the Gardevoir package. Does have that one of Munkidori, Tomb in the deck. Cool stuff, cool stuff. Yeah, I'm excited to see at least one Banette making it in, because I did predict the deck was decent for this tournament, so it's happy to see one made it in. We got another Lugia here, another Drago playing at the Radiant Gardevoir within the deck. We got another Zard here. Oh, it's Zard pull. Look at that. It's similar to what Tord played, it looks like. Tenny IC playing that Unfair Stamp and Team Evo. Yeah, playing the 2-1-2 Dragapult line. I like it. I like Zard pull. I'm a big advocate for this deck. I'm happy to see at least one Zard pull made it into day 2. It wasn't really the best deck for the tournament. Like, Strago matchup's a little shaky. But, you know, overall, like, it wasn't a bad play for this tournament at all, and I'm happy to at least see one made it in to day 2. We'll see if any more Zard pulls made it to day 2 or not. Another Gholdengo here, once again, day 2. Same 60 as the Kobe build we saw earlier with that Klefki. Another Turbo Moon here. So at least 2 Turbo Moons made it in. Not the same build we saw get second place, but, you know, kind of similar. We got the Fez, got the Petron. Same concept, playing the Double Moon. But this one also, instead of playing Prime Catcher, opts to play Unfair Stamp instead. So I guess, like, Stamp plus Moon Knockout can be, like, very devastating to deal with. Another quad Thorns here in day 2, playing the Legacy Energy in the deck, also using the Crushing Hammer, the Pokemon Catcher in the deck. We've got a Raging Bolt here with the Spiritomb in the deck. Interesting stuff. Spiritomb in Raging Bolt is cool, and did make it into day 2. Looks like so cool stuff, cool stuff. Another Miraidon here doing good. We got Sawyer on the Miraidon deck, playing the Thorns and the Raichu. Actually, yeah, I was going to say, same list as Ryan's build, looks like. I was about to say. Another Raging Bolt here in day 2 with the Prime Catcher in there. Got the 3 Pokemon Catchers. Just casino this weekend. It was a casino, an absolute casino. We got another Ancient Box in day 2. This one does play 2 Roaring Moon EX, so it's not really like an Ancient Box deck. Now, you know, the Walking Wake and the Great Tusk in there, but it does have Roaring Moon EX in the deck. So turns out Roaring Moon was actually a pretty good call for this tournament, which is interesting. Another Miraidon here, playing the Judge and the Research for Arvin. Does have the Raichu in the deck still, but no Iron Thorns or anything in that build. Got another Zard here, playing the Dusknoir in the deck, playing Prime Catcher for the Ace-Spec. And just have Bibarel and Fez, so a lot more draw in the deck to keep it more consistent. We got another POW in day 2. We got Fabrizio playing the Shenpao into day 2. Really the only big change to the deck, yeah, looking at it, we got the Pheasantipity and the Night Stretcher being added into the deck. We got another Zard here playing the Dusknoir line. Does have the Unfair Stamp in the deck, though, this time around. And the Thorntons. Yeah, Thornton ended up being pretty big this weekend, like I said. Then we got another Quad Thorns here in the day 2. He's got the Double Eerie in the deck, playing the Prime Catcher. No Pokemon Catchers, though, and no Legacy Energy. Got another Lugia playing the Flutter Mane. Also, a Rizu is an interesting concept to get you 3 evolution Pokemon. So I guess, non-rule box evolution Pokemon. Gets you your Archeopsis and your Cinccino. And is it better than Jock? Yeah, I'm not too sure, because you can't get Lugia with it. That's the downside, but it's a cool concept. Another Quad Thorns here, playing the 4 Pokemon Catchers. The Prime Catcher does have the Devo in the deck. We got 3 more Dragos to look at. This Drago plays Carmine and Tomb. We got another Drago here, playing pretty straightforward Drago build. And then we got another Drago build here. My boy Simon making it to day 2 with Drago playing the Spiritomb in the deck. No Jamie Tower, just plain Spiritomb. I thought there was a Jamie Tower in this list. I guess not. But yeah, there was a Tomb in there. Yeah, Tomb being very popular this weekend. So cool stuff that Simon made it to day 2 with the deck. We got a Guardy here with a Spiritomb in the deck. Another thing that I heard a lot of rumbling of was a lot of the Guardy players are putting Tomb in their deck. Obviously being really good into Lugia. And, yeah, we'll see if there's any more Guardies with Tomb. Like I said, we'll see if Guardy with any other Ace-Specs like Neutralization Zone made it to day 2, because we don't see that yet. Another Regidrago here with a Spiritomb. Then we got another Raging Bolt here with the 3 Pokemon Catchers. Let's see here. Another Guardy with Unfair Stamp and Tatsugiri in the deck there. We got another Regidrago with the Temple Sinnoh. There you go. Let's see what else. Another Shenpao in day 2 with the Palkia. So similar to what we saw with what Lucas played. Not the same 60, but similar concept with that 1/1 Palkia in the deck there to counteract the Regidrago. We got a Snorlax in day 2. So at least 2 Snorlax made it in day 2 here, looks like. This one having 3 Mist Energy. 3 Mimikyu is kind of crazy. But I guess Triple Mimikyu does basically give you like an auto win into Thorns, right? If that makes any sense. Assuming you can get them all into play. We got 3 Lugias here back to back. This Lugia's got Wellspring Ogerpon in the deck. Another Lugia here. This one, ooh, Lugia with Prime Catcher. Look at that. Lugia with Prime Catcher. That's cool. No Legacy Energy, though, which is kind of a big deal. But it's have the basic Lightning and Vessel to kind of offset not having Legacy for your Iron Hands. And then we got another Lugia here, once again, with the Legacy Energy in the deck instead of the Prime Catcher. Another Guardy here with Unfair Stamp. No Neutralization Zone, it looks like. We got another Ancient Box in day 2, playing the one of Roaring Moon in the deck and a couple of Dark Patches, try to capitalize on the ability to use Moon. I guess that would help more into the Charizard matchup, I guess. Like, at the end of the game, you can, like, Frenzy Gouge them. We got 2 Raging Bolts here back to back, one with Flutter Mane, and then we got another one here with the Pokestop and Pokemon Catchers and stuff. No Flutter Mane. Another Zard. Another Poison Zard build, actually. The Mighty Mochi Zard. Playing the Tatsugiri, playing the 2/2 Pidgeot. You got the Petron, you got the Fez in there. Cool stuff, cool stuff. So a couple Poison Zards made it to day 2. Another Drago. Got another Zard here below it. Another Dusknoir Zard with the Unfair Stamp for the Ace-Spec, playing the 1/1 Bibarel in there. We got another Lugia. What do we got here? We got Lugia, once again, with Flutter Mane in there. Another Quad Thorns, making it in day 2. Playing the Hammers. Legacy Energy. Looks like no Pokemon Catcher. Another Miraidon here in day 2 with the Raichu. Cylene's interesting, I guess. Cyllene definitely can help maybe get you an extra generator. Technically can also put energy on top of the deck, so there is some benefits for that. We got another Pidgeot control in day 2. Now, this one's got some interesting text in it. It's playing Luxray, playing Radiant Serena, probably good into Drago, obviously. Playing double Ogerpon, double Mimikyu. Also playing a 1/1 Milotic. Your opponent's Pokemon and playing all cards attached can't be put into your opponent's hand. Now, that's a very interesting card to see within the control list, but obviously it does stop Turo and Penny from being played, and that can give you better win conditions with the Wellspring Ogerpon at the end of the game. So that's cool. So it's a bit of a different control list made in day 2, it looks like. Another Drago playing the Pokestop in the deck. There's the Stadium. Got a Lugia with the Flutter Mane. Another Zard here. Another, oh, look at that. Another Binding Mochi Charizard. Kind of a hybrid, actually. It's like Poison Zard with a 1/1 Dusknoir in it. So a bit more of a hybrid Charizard deck here, it looks like. We got another Regidrago. And let's see what else we got here. You've already seen those. Got another Zard. Another Dusknoir Zard here. Playing the Hero's Cape as Aceback. Another Regidrago. And then we got us another Snorlax in day 2 here. Playing the 1 Mimikyu. Playing the Bellowing Fan, the Hero's Cape, as the Aceback of choice. We got a couple more Raging Bolts. Raging Bolt with Dusknoir got to day 2. And there you go. And then we got another Raging Bolt with Dusknoir in day 2, back-to-back there. Another Pow in day 2 with the Fez. No Palkia. Another Snorlax made it in day 2 here with the Shiyu in the decks. Got the double Mimikyu, the double Cornerstone Ogerpon, the double League Headquarters. And then there was one Dragapult in day 2 here. And it looks like it was a interesting Dragapult build. Not playing Pidgeot and not playing Xatu. It's actually like a Bibarel Dragapult deck. Very interesting Dragapult 60 here. No Pidgeot or anything is interesting. Playing the Mela. Got the Giacomo in the deck. Devo. Cool stuff. That was an interesting list. At least 2 like non-Regidrago builds playing Dragapult made it in day 2 of Worlds. That's nice. Another Raging Bull with Dusknoir here in day 2. Another Lugia. Once again, playing the Flutter Mane. Got Legacy Energy as the Aceback. Another Quad Thorns in day 2 here with the 4 Hammers. Oh, Dangerous Laser, bro. I've seen it all. Your opponent's active Pokemon's now Burn and Confuse. Low-key kind of interesting because you can, like, especially into, like, Drago, you can, like, confuse your opponent. I guess the ability to just confuse your opponent can make this a very dangerous card, no pun intended. So, cool that the Dangerous Laser made it into day 2 of the World Championships. That's actually pretty insane. And then we got another Drago here to cap off the World Championships. And there you go, folks. Those are all the decks that made day 2 at the World Championships. Some big things to note, there was not that much Snorlax in day 2. Not as much Control in day 2, which Control would struggle more to Drago. But yeah, not as much Snorlax in day 2. A couple Shampows squeaked their way through. Only one Lost Zone deck made day 2. I actually just took that in. Just one Lost Zone deck made in day 2. I'm kind of surprised to see that, not gonna lie. There was no Lost Tina in day 2. No Turbo Lost Box in day 2. Very interesting stuff to know. Now, Lost Box could get a little bit better maybe post Worlds just because of all the big basic decks that did well this weekend, like Moon and Miraidon and Thorns. So we'll have to see on that one. But yeah, very interesting results to say the least. But yeah, let me know what you think of the day 2 decks here at the World Championships. Once again, I'll leave a link to Limitless here, the site I use to look at all the deck lists down in the description below if you want to go build any of these decks for yourself and try them out. That'll be for me. If y'all enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe down below. We're on the road to 16K subs. And yeah, hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye.